Hey guys, got up early this morning, got a nice little bike ride in. But now it's time to get to work. Let's do a little disco. Okay, enough procrastinating. Let's get to it. Okay, let's go ahead and log into our code.org. And you'll see here on the current unit, Unit 3, will bring us right into animations and games. So what we're going to be doing for this last semester here is the animation and games unit. And there are two chapters. One is images and animations. The other one is about building games itself. However, with the limited amount of time and resources we have left, we're just going to concentrate on Chapter 1. Let's do a mile-high overview of what Chapter 1 looks like. All right, first, Lesson 1 is programming for the internet. Lesson 1 is programming for entertainment. So what problems do we have in entertainment that we want to solve? I mean, obviously, entertainment's there to help cure boredom, to, get us thinking creatively. How might we use computer science in the entertainment industry? And that might include everything from movies to video games. So we're just starting to think about computer science used in industries. This will actually be a really fast lesson. The next one, Lesson 2, is plotting shapes, where we start getting learning how to put shapes onto a screen in preparation for building some kind of animation or game a little bit later. Very simple. This one will take you just a few minutes. Lesson 3 gets more interesting. That's drawing in Game Lab. Game Lab is the code.org's online programming environment where we will actually use the blocks style programming to create a game. In Lesson 4, we get to start using shapes and randomization. So that would be like putting shapes and things onto the screen, but maybe randomizing where they go on the screen or the shape and the size of these shapes. Lesson 5 moves into the very important concept, and that's the concept of variables, where basically we create a virtual container and then we can put information in that container. We can change the information and then we can just make copies of this all through our program. Huge lifesaver in programming. Lesson 6 starts getting fun. Those are sprites. A sprite is your game character or any object that you interact with, that moves around, that does things on the screen. From there, we'll learn about the very important draw loop. Our programs actually run in a loop going over and over and over again, but really fast. And that's how we make things look like they're actually moving. We draw a picture, and then we draw a picture on top of that, and a picture on top of that, and a picture on top of that. And it happens so fast, it looks like maybe a sprite or something is moving. But we also need to loop through things so that if we have two sprites coming and colliding into each other, we need to check. Is it colliding? Is it touching? Is it touching? Is it touching? Yes, it is. Now let's make something happen. You'll get to that in a little bit. Lesson 8, we're going to skip that, is about the counter program, and I will make a short video explaining that, and we won't do the unplugged program lesson on that. Lesson 9 is sprite movement. So this is where we actually get to move our sprites around the screen. Lesson 10, again, is one we're going to skip, but it's about Booleans. That's a very important concept, but I'm going to go ahead and make a very short video explaining what Booleans are and how you can use them. Lesson 11 are conditionals. Conditionals is the last really big concept that you need to know in programming, and that's basically a program saying if. If something is true, then do that. So an example would be, I want to walk through a door. If the door is closed, open the door and walk through. Else, just walk through. So programs work the same way. If something's true, do this. Else, do that. Moving on to lesson 12, we learn how to use keyboard input. So maybe you want your sprite to move around. Maybe it's a spaceship fighter or a Mario type character jumping around. We can use keyboard input to manipulate that sprite or add data. There are other forms of input that we'll learn about in lesson 13. Keyboards, of course, aren't the only thing. We also have mice. And sometimes a program will even add data to itself or input to itself. So we'll learn about that in lesson 13. We'll conclude with lesson 14. And this is your project where you get to make an interactive greeting card with animations and music and maybe things that you interact with using your input devices. Now, recall that if you get to, and I think I have it set through lesson 9, if you complete lesson 9, you are guaranteed a C in this class, no matter what grade you had before spring break. If you get to lesson 13, you are guaranteed a B in the class, no matter what grade you had before spring break. And then if you complete lesson 14, the project, then you will guarantee yourself an A. Now, the difference between an A minus and an A plus or a B minus and B plus will be the quality of the work. Also, remember that as you progress through, we have these little bubbles. Each bubble is another step in the lesson. Ones that are purple or have a little check mark on them, those are assessment points. And that's what I look at to give you a grade for each lesson. The bubbles turn green when you click the Done button after each step or Finished or whatever the button says. And it doesn't necessarily record whether you actually did the assignment on that bubble or not, just that you were there and clicked Finish. So just clicking through may show that you have those green bubbles, but that does not necessarily mean that you have done them. Again, I will be looking predominantly at these purple marks. And if there's not another one after that, such as in lesson 13, I might be looking at the last one or two to finish things up. Okay, so that's a high-level overview. Watch the next video, and I will briefly go over, there we are, lesson 1.